All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to No Final Bell. We have finally officially gotten to 90 episodes.
Yeah,
Thank you for getting to us to that mark. Never thought it would be possible. Um, and we are going to start off with ROH Death Before Dishonor before we go to AEW Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. Yes, I know we
yeah,
talk about Rampage this time, but that's because Dynamite wasn't a very heavy base show because most of it was primarily blood and guts.
yeah.
So let's
So
go on to the start of the show.
I'm just kind of going. I'm just gonna go right through it, not really take a lot of time to talk about what happened, because as much as I enjoyed this show, there wasn't it was kind of lackluster in a lot of things, and like so. 0 Hour had 4 matches. First of which being Josh Woods versus Hot Sauce Tracy Williams in a pure rules match. The finish of that was Josh Woods beating Hot Sauce Tracy Williams by submission in the ropes. We had Action Andretti and Darius Martin taking on the Workhorsemen in tag team action, to which Action Andretti and Darius Martin won. Legit Layla Hirsch beat Trish Adora, and after the match, slaps on an armbar. Then Sky Blue comes down to make the save for Trish Adora. AR Fox beat Shane Taylor. And then to kick off Death Before Dishonor, we had a Lucha Rules match between Gravity and Commander. Gravity beat Commander. And speaking of which, next week on Dynamite, or I should say tonight on Dynamite, Gravity will take on Pac.
Yes.
So,
And if anybody doesn't know about Gravity, Gravity is actually the younger brother of Bandito.
yes.
Yeah, I know it does seem kind of crazy, but if you look at them, yeah, I can kind of see the resemblance
Yeah.
of the two.
It's
They
the
both have the
hair.
same hair.
The
Both
hair.
have the same body type in some weird way.
Yeah.
But
But finally, Pac will no longer forget Gravity.
I was gonna say, can Gravity finally be able to catch up with Pac after all this time and saying that?
Gravity remembers Pac,
But
but
does
Pac,
Pac remember Gravity?
yeah. We had the television title match, which the before the match got announced, there was a TV title tournament to determine who would fight Samoa Joe at the pay per view, and it ended up culminating. The finals was Dalton Castle versus Shane Taylor. Dalton Castle beat Shane Taylor to get this match. So we had Samoa Joe versus Dalton Castle, but ultimately Samoa Joe beat Dalton Castle by submission after Stokely Hathaway forcefully removed the boy from ringside. How could you, Stokely? Um, Now, this match, the main thing that I wanted to talk about is the fact that we have new Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. They were crowned in a four-way tag team match. It was Lucha Brothers defending against Best Friends, The Kingdom, and Aussie Open. But Aussie Open came out of that match new Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. Aussie Open is having the freaking run of their career. They started the year off by being NJPW Strong and IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, but unfortunately Mark Davis went down with injury. Then they had to vacate, but now they are Ring of Honor Tag Team
Yeah.
Champions.
Speaking of Aussie Open, I don't think you know they're just done with those tag team titles per
Oh no.
se. I think that eventually they will go after FTR, whoever will be the tag team champions.
I mean,
What better way to have it in Wembley in Stadium?
yeah.
Aussie Open versus FTR, all in. You need to book that match
Make
because
it winner take all.
that'd be cool. I would be for that honestly because I don't think FTR. Oh no, FTR were that
FTR never
already.
had their contractual rematch. FTR never had their contractual rematch after Final Battle
Well,
last December.
we'll talk about it on Collision. We'll talk about it more.
Yeah.
But they are one of. But a little bit
They
of a
have
spoiler.
unfinished business.
They did say that they're one of
They
the
did name drop
teams.
Aussie Open and say that they have unfinished business.
So we'll talk about that more. But
Um, Going on, the Embassy retained their titles. There's not much to talk
I was
about.
gonna
Against
say
Ryusuke
you're right.
Taguchi, Leon Ruffin, and Master Wato. Not much to talk about there.
Same thing with a pure wrestling match. Like nothing
Well,
against these
okay.
two men facing off against each other, but like,
However,
how many times do we need to see it on pay
yeah.
per view? Like Shibata, Garcia, like
Well,
it's kind of getting sad that like that's apparently the only opponent you can give Shibata at this point is Daniel Garcia.
I feel like there will be more credible opponents for Shibata, hopefully. But the one thing that stuck out in that match is Shibata slapped on the sleeper hold, and as Shibata had the sleeper hold in, Daniel Garcia is like doing his little dance and passing out. So he's like, um, but this match was just brutal as all hell. Dark Order versus the Righteous and Stu Grayson in a fight without honor. Dark Order channeled their anger towards, especially Evil Uno, towards Stu Grayson. But ultimately, Dark Order beat the Righteous and Stu Grayson. Then we had the men's world title match between Claudio Castagnoli and Pac. That was set up on Dynamite. We'll talk about that. Um, After the match, though, Death Triangle stands with Pac, and then the best friends beat up the Lucha Brothers, and Orange Cassidy comes out as well. And then in the true main event, they build it as like a double main event, but the true main event was Athena versus Willow Nightingale for the Ring of Honor Women's title, and Athena beat Willow by submission. However, Willow gave Athena the fight of her freaking life.
Yeah, that was a great match.
That was probably the
You
closest
know, it's
that
crazy
Athena has
because
come to losing her title,
you know
if you ask me.
Tony. Tony Khan gets a lot of crap because he doesn't really showcase the women as much as he should with
Oh, on
he should
AEW,
with the
yeah.
men. But the problem is that you get a match like that. Athena and the Willow have like a
Well,
match like the probably one of the
yeah.
best women's matches in ROH history.
Well, not to mention the fans just completely crap on the women's division for whatever
That
reason.
too, but they didn't for that match, and honestly, rightfully so because these are two of your better, these are two of your top women in that division that are going to take it probably to the next level. And Athena has been one dominant women's champion, beating everybody that comes her way. And Willow is just I mean, she's starting to get there. She could definitely she won your Owen Hart Foundation
Right.
tournament,
Yeah.
so she
And
already has that one up there
yeah.
with.
Here's the thing, though. I was kind of shocked when I found out that Willow did not beat Athena because I was looking at it and I'm like, well, this is the perfect like rebound storyline for Willow considering she just lost her New Japan Strong openweight women's title to Julia,
Hmm.
and then she had to take a week off because of injury, comes back from injury, beats Athena in the Owen Hart tournament to set up the match at Death Before Dishonor. But before then, she beat Ruby Soho in the finals of the Owen Hart tournament to win the whole damn thing. And then going into Death Before Dishonor, like you have all that momentum. You're the Owen Hart winner, and then like you've already beaten Athena before. You've
Mm,
proven that you can do it, but can you do it again when the stakes are higher and there's a championship on the line? And that's when they were like, well, no.
right. True.
But
So we're gonna shift gears to AEW. We start off with a few matches for Blood and Guts. Um,
Dynamite,
yes, well,
Oh yeah,
Dynamite,
yeah.
but typically Blood and Guts. We get Jack Perry, no longer
No
Jungle
longer
Boy.
Jungle
He
Boy. He buried
buried
Jungle
his
Boy.
old gimmick, Jungle Boy, and
Yes.
he's just going to be called Jack Perry now.
Well,
Uh,
well, I mean, formally yes, but it's safe to say his gimmick is like Hollywood Jack Perry.
which is not terrible. But he faces off against Hook in
He's
the
wrestling in long tights, by the way, now.
yeah, which
Andy grew out a beard.
hey, he's really embracing that Hollywood style. I'll tell you what. But yeah, faces off against Hook, and
For the FTW title.
these two men had a pretty decently, great starting contest for the night, and you know, Marty, Marty has even stated it you know, before this that the title has changed hands
Every month, or every year this month in July since 2020. So
since
you
the
had to
title has been
expect
introduced. Yeah,
you had to expect that, ladies and gentlemen, Jack Perry is your new FTW World Champion. Also,
I
handing Hook his first loss in AEW.
I'm not mad with it. I'm really not because you can build off of Jungle Boy after this. You really can as a
He's not
heel
Jungle Boy anymore.
or Jack Perry. You
I know
really
it's
can.
so
You
easy to
can
say Jungle Boy.
you can really build off of Jack Perry after a win to Hook. Yeah, it sucks for Hook, but I think that there's still going to be some good things for Hook because they can still feud, they can still wrestle each other. They could face off at the pay per view for the FTW Championship again. I mean, it's still something, but I think the sky's the limit for Jack Perry. Same thing with Hook. Um, Personally, I said it before to Marty, away from this show. I wouldn't be opposed to like Hook facing off against Nick Wayne. Two of your top younger talents going up against each other. Just their style alone, I think, would be a great match. So I would be all more than happy with Hook, you know, kind of working his way back up to get into like a title picture, maybe like the TNT Championship, or if you really want to do something with Hook, why don't you have him possibly be the one to beat Orange Cassidy for the International Championship? That could be something. I mean, he was a dominant FTW champion, so why can't you make him a dominant international champion?
Yeah.
It'd be something. But I'm not mad with Jack Perry winning the FTW championship, even though it's an unrecognized title in AEW. I still think that he can be somebody that can have a lengthy reign. Because if you look at the people that have had the title, they've had decently lengthy reigns. Brian Cage, I don't think so much more than Hook and Ricky Starks, and I think did Powerhouse Hobbs hold the title too? Of
The
his
FTW? No.
okay, well,
He only ever
um,
had the TNT.
so I think that well, we all know how that went with that, but
Yeah.
ultimately I think that you know sky's the limit for both these men. So I think there's some room for them to go up from here. Um, so it's weird. Chris Jericho and Don Callis had a secret meeting as Marvez was trying to get
Yes,
in on
Alex
it,
Marvez.
and then Don Callis caught him.
That fathead Marvez.
Safe to say that Chris Jericho and Don Callis are planning to get together and
Yeah.
form the Don Callis family. I think that's going to be announced very soon. Um, but there's not really much more we can talk about it from that moment on. Um, Britt Baker faces off against Kayla Sparks and beats her. Again, you
There's your
know,
women's match for Dynamite since you
right,
had to have
exactly.
one.
Um, so we get on to the finals of the blind eliminator tag team match between MJF and Adam Cole and Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara. I really thought in some way, shape, or form that Garcia and Sammy Guevara were going to swerve us all, win this tournament. Then there was going to be the breakdown of Cole and MJF because of like um, Roderick Strong. But I think that's going to be more so happening on Collision. I don't think that they're going to win. They will win this match. They're going to get to that title match the 29th, this coming Saturday. But I don't think they're going to win the tag team titles. FTR is just way too good of a team. Um, this is going to ultimately lead into possibly the all-in match between Cole and MJF, because I think that you're going to save the all-out match in Chicago to being the rematch between MJF and CM Punk. Only this time, it's going to be for the World Heavyweight Championship. But ultimately, Adam Cole and MJF finally got to hit the double clothesline in this match.
Yeah. Not to mention,
unfortunately,
also,
the dance off beforehand, like, what the hell was
do
that?
we have to talk about that?
Like, come on now.
Yeah, that was like. Admittedly, I was very sports entertained during that, but like that was kind of filler before Blood and Guts.
I mean, you had to know that that was going to be your main thing that you were going to focus on in this match and that night. And I get it, you had to have filler, but you still could have had a decently long match and whatnot between them.
But also during the match, MJF hit a dive.
Yes, he finally conquered his fear of the dives and was able to do it. And he's like, holy shit, I did it.
Yeah. And well, not to mention he also did the Cody like SpongeBob walk. So
But
kudos to everybody that knows what
I will say
about.
After the match, Adam Cole looked like he was gonna attack MJF with a title, but ultimately he says, "Oh no, I know you're the world. I know the world champion. I was just gonna give the champ his title, man."
And MJF is like, "All right, man, like you got me.
Yeah,
bring it in."
That's what I'm saying.
Adam goes over to the corner, and MJF just kind of looks at him like.
Yeah, and it's just a precursor to what's going to happen in Collision. You're going to see the downfall of this team. I know people really don't want to see it, but you can't trust MJF. And we'll talk about that a little bit more of what FTR said on Collision. But we're going to change gears and actually talk about. We're going to talk about the Blood and Guts match, the most brutal match in AEW.
Yeah.
It definitely lived up to the hype. The Golden Elite and the BCC.
Yes.
You had broken glass. Yeah. You had a bed of nails.
Yep.
You had thumbtacks.
Yep.
Broken tables.
Barbed wire.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
You had anything that you could imagine in this match happening. You also had Pac cutting the bolt.
Using bolt
gunning out of the match.
Get the hell out of the match. Same thing with Takeshita. Because of what happened with Claudio. Claudio inadvertently gave Pac an uppercut, and Pac took offense to it. He kind of got all up in Claudio's face and everything. He's like, "Hey man, what the hell? What the bloody hell?" So, and he ultimately was, he ultimately looked at BCC, gave them all the finger, and then he brought out bolt cutters, cut the lock on the door, and he slammed it in Claudio's face. He's like, "Nah, I ain't doing this." And that's what ultimately led to Death Before Dishonor.
Yeah, it's and
crazy. Then later on, Don Callis is like, "Hey, Takeshita, come on, we're getting out of here."
Yeah, it was the downfall of the BCC right in front of our eyes, and it really does suck.
But the finish of the match. Let's talk about the finish, because people at home couldn't see.
Yeah, Wheeler Yuta
was getting choked out with
and then
a chain,
John Moxley submitted. He didn't want to watch his brother.
Surrendered. He surrendered the match.
He didn't want to watch his brother in a BCC getting choked the hell out with a chain in front of his eyes.
Yeah.
He ended up surrendering. So the Golden Elite beat the BCC in a match that lived up to the hype. It was a great blood and guts match. This match always puts on like a great match. Like I think it's like damn near a 4 or 5 star match every single time it goes on, because I mean, it wasn't probably better than the BCC versus
JAS.
the JAS last year. I think that was a
Oh
lot more
yeah,
brutal of a match than actually. Well, that was
that was
Anarchy in
B.
the Arena match.
No, that was Blood and Guts.
Was it?
Yeah, you're talking about the one with BCC and JAS. Yeah, that one had BCC, but at the time it was Claudio, Moxley, and Yuta. I don't
Wasn't
think.
BCC also in the Anarchy in the Arena match last year too? I could have
Yes, they were.
swore. Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say
because
that was a time where
that one also had Eddie Kingston
yeah, it was
with
when
BCC.
Brian Danielson unfortunately got hurt during that
Yeah,
time. But
that was when he.
I was gonna say that Blood and Guts and Anarchy in the Arena are two of the most brutal matches in
Yes.
AEW, and I'm grateful that um, they're
Also,
such great matches
yeah.
and they live up to the
Also,
hype
it's
every time.
funny you mentioned the the Blood and Guts match from last year because that was also the same show that essentially we saw the last of Santana in AEW because he ended up getting injured
Hmm.
during that match
And
and we
ran
haven't
off.
seen him since.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Guevara was also thrown off the top and thrown into a table too. So that's why I say I think that match was a lot more brutal. This one was brutal too. Don't get me wrong, but like not as crazy as it was. Even though we almost damn near we had the no Northern Light suplexes on the top of the
Oh
cage.
yeah.
It was almost like, oh man, maybe you're gonna see um what's his face? It was gonna be thrown off the top, but nope.
Oh
Usually
yeah, we
every
thought
blood and guts match, somebody gets
somebody is
thrown
getting
off the
thrown
top
off the
of the
top of
cage,
the
but
cage.
it did not happen
Yeah.
this time.
Kind of shocked.
I
Kind of
was kind of
shocked.
shocked
Yeah.
about that too, because there was there's usually a table right around the
Yeah. Yeah. But
the ring, but no, that did not happen this time. Um, so we get on to our first match of Rampage, as we always, now you got that thing, Royal Rampage. Well, last year it was a title opportunity to face off against the world champion, but this time
this
they
year it was
changed
the
it,
TNT
the
champion.
TNT championship, and whoever wins gets to face it all out in
Yeah.
Chicago for said TNT championship. Well, the finalist last year finally wins it this year as
Yep.
Darby Allin wins Royal Rampage and will face probably Luchasaurus for all out for the World Heavyweight for the TNT Championship, or Christian Cage, so self-proclaimed TNT champion. But ultimately, um, I think Darby's gonna win, and you're gonna see Christian like Luchasaurus turn on Christian Cage here.
Or this might be a shot in the dark. Who's to say Luchasaurus doesn't find out what Christian's doing ultimately and be like, uh, hey, you do realize that I'm the TNT champion, not you. This is not a team effort anymore. You want to be the TNT champion so badly, face me in a match and earn it.
What if we get inadvertently two TNT championship? Like,
Oh, what?
or we
Like,
could get a triple threat match. I don't know. We could. It'd be interesting to see what could
well,
happen for this. But ultimately,
we
Darby
could
Allin
also
does.
get that match at All In before All Out, because, I mean, they still have to build towards All In as
True.
well.
True.
And it seems like right now they're building more towards All Out than they are All In, which is weird, but
I think they still got some time to build towards it. I mean,
they literally have like a month.
yeah, true. But yeah, congratulations to Darby Allin, former TNT champion himself.
Yes, former two time.
Had some decent runs for it. I hope that this time, if he does win it again, that he has, you know, he brings back the open challenges. He
Actually,
faces off against it every single week.
yeah. Is he a two time?
I think he is a two-time TNT champion.
Yes,
So,
yes, he is. I was
um,
gonna say there might have been a third that I forgot about, but no, he's only a two time.
yeah. So Daddy Ass and the Acclaim, they have a match to prepare themselves for the Collision fight as they beat QTV. Of course, we'll talk about their Collision match. It just and then
And also what happened after their Collision match, which was
yes,
a bit shocking.
it was a quite big shocking. We'll talk
Um,
about it.
a lot of people are also questioning whether it's real or it's a work. So we'll talk about it. But in the main event of Rampage,
Yes, Chris Statlander faces off against Marina Shafir.
what the hell has Marina Shafir done to get a main event?
Yeah, but
Especially
honestly,
on Rampage.
they'll put anybody in at the main event for Rampage. They don't really care. I mean,
But even more so, like, it seems like they're giving just anybody to Chris Statlander to challenge for the TBS title.
true.
And like, in a way, it's kind of. I look at it as like, man, they're kind of ruining.
But in reality, you kind of like it because like she's a fighting champion. She's putting it on the line almost every
Yes,
single
I can
week.
agree with that.
So
They are at least doing more for Statlander's reign with the title than they did with Jade's reign. Because, like, she got to 60-0, but she was champion for, like, damn near 2 years before they ultimately had her lose to Statlander. I feel like the reign of Jade would have been shorter had Statlander been healthier and,
yeah,
like,
probably.
didn't get injured.
I think ultimately it was going to be
But
Chris Statlander's title to win, and I think that
yeah,
she would have been the inaugural TBS champion if
I
it
don't know
wasn't
about
for
that,
her being
but
hurt.
I don't know about that, but
But ultimately, she does beat Marina Shafir to
yeah,
retain the TBS championship. Um, I mean, I think that she can eventually get some more um, talent. I would love nothing more than Thunder Rosa coming back. And speaking of Thunder
I
Rosa,
was gonna
where has
say
she
that would be
been?
nice because like they
Because I
teased
kind
her
of
for
swore
Collision,
that
and
she was
then
fully healthy, but apparently that injury is a lot more, you know, a lot worse than it was originally, and maybe she's
I don't even know if it's that. I think it's more so just an issue that like Tony Khan can't find a way to fit her into Collision. And if that's the case, then why did you tease her for the show?
didn't really showcase her on Rampage or something like that. Something. I mean, you mean to tell me that you can't give her like how about this?
At this point, I
Why
feel
can't
like you should
Chris
just
Statlander just like I'm gonna put out there an open challenge. I don't
yeah.
want anybody from the back to face me that hasn't faced me yet, and then Thunder Rosa comes out and challenges her.
Yeah.
I would love something like that. I think that could be a way that you can bring her
Or
back to Collision.
at this point, if you don't know what else to do with Thunder Rosa, release her. Have her go to WWE where she may or may not get utilized better.
She might. I mean, they usually utilize
But
the women
like
a
at
lot better
least it would
anyway,
be a different environment for Thunder Rosa. You know
right?
what I mean? Like or even like have her go back to NWA, dude. If she beat Camille for the NWA women's title, like just
Right.
imagine what that would do for Thunder Rosa and her career.
True.
Because that's how they brought her into AEW, was as the NWA Women's Champion. And then, like, she officially signed after she had, like,
Or
lost the title.
or in reality, if you can't have anything for her on AEW, why don't you just bring her into ROH?
That's true, too.
She
Because, I
she could be
mean,
somebody that can face off against Athena for the ROH Women's World
now
Championship.
that is a match I would love to see.
I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah. And
like
even then, like, it
because
solidifies
I hate to say it,
Athena's reign even more.
ROH is kind of like that show where like even though like you can't fit them into AEW, you can fit them into
Yeah.
ROH and
Well, let's face it, too. ROH is pretty much the new AEW Dark.
in a way, but at least there's titles and there's
Yes.
pay-per-views and
Right.
you can build them up better
Yeah.
because there's hardly any commercials and stuff like that going
I was
on
going
for
to say, Tony Khan himself has even stated it is much easier to book Ring of Honor because he doesn't have to worry about any like TV time constraints or anything like that. So I look at it this way: if he's like the sole booker of Ring of Honor and he gives the like instead of Stokely Hathaway and like the ROH like board of directors kind of being the ones to like give Tony Khan ideas of how to book it, I feel like Tony Khan himself should just completely book ROH and let somebody else book AEW because like him trying to fit everything in for AEW, like it works to a degree, but at the same time it's like he's just can't always fit everybody in, and it's like it shows. So, at least for Ring of Honor, like he showcases the talent that he wants to showcase for the week or whatever, and then like they wrestle and they have those tapings for 2 hours and or
Right.
maybe even 1 hour, depending, hour and a half, whatever, for the tapings, and then that's that. Doesn't have to worry about time constraints or anything. So
All right. Well, let's get back on track
yeah,
here as we get to Collision. CM Punk and Ricky Starks, they faced off in the Owen Hart
yeah,
Foundation men's tournament as Ricky Starks did win. But CM Punk has a very stirring question to ask him. Can Ricky Starks beat him without cheating?
yeah,
And then um, Ricky Starks says his bag is about as empty as Punk's bag is, and then Punk's like kind of took offense like that, and they asked him, and they stare eye to eye, and then Punk's asked, "Do you want to face me for what's in this bag? Do you want to, because I'm the real world champion, not MGF, who goes out there and claims that he's the world champion." Um, And then Christian Cage comes out and says he doesn't want to be here any longer than he has to. And
in New
that's
York
what
or
man
in New
carries
Jersey.
around a championship he didn't win. Let me tell you something. Same can be said to you there, Christian Cage, because you didn't win the TNT championship, even though
Yeah,
you claimed that we're the TNT champion,
yeah,
meaning him and Luchasaurus. And it kind of made Punk laugh. He's like,
yeah.
what are you talking about? You didn't win that TNT championship. Luchasaurus did. Um,
And I think Christian himself even was like, "Oh, uh, I'll answer that later," or something like
and then
that.
out comes Darby Allin for whatever reason and claims that he will beat whoever is the TNT champion, whether that's truly Christian Cage or truly Luchasaurus. He'll beat any one of them for the TNT championship at All Out. And honestly, I think that's going to happen. I think you're going to see Darby Allin win the TNT championship, the title that I think is rightfully something that, he can help kind of go up again. It would be nice. But I just think that he
They
can
just need to like,
do something with that title.
yeah, just lift the prestige of it, or even just like relive the legacy that it had, because it's just not.
Right.
It's not like it used to be the workhorse title. What the hell happened to that?
Well, because had guys like Cody Rhodes and you
Yeah,
had Mr. Brody Lee
yeah.
and
They were the workhorses that worked towards like earning that title.
I know.
And then now it's like, oh, you had it like flip flop so many times, and then it's like, oh, okay. In a way, it's like ever since Cody left, like that title and the meaning of that title has just like completely gone out
That's
the
why it kind
window.
of sucks to see Cody leave and go to sports entertainment to become an absolute joke. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Um, we're gonna get on to our first match of I think this is the first match.
Yeah, it was the
First
first
match of
match.
the night. Bullet Club Gold. Guns up.
Guns up.
Oh, sorry everybody for that technical difficulty. Um, Guns up, and then they face off against Action Andretti and Darius Martin. Darius Martin and Action Andretti have been getting a lot of action as of late. They
No
they
pun
are
intended.
they're that. Yeah, I know. They're forming that tag team. I personally, before we really go into talking about the match, I just want to know what's going to happen with Dante when he eventually comes back.
Oh yeah,
Is he going to get jealous that Action
he might
Andretti
get jealous. He might
is teaming up with his brother, or is Action Andretti going to be the odd man out and then Top Flight comes back together? Because it just sucks because Top Flight is a team that could really
They just get riddled with bad luck, though, man.
That
Yeah.
They're one healthy year away from being a future tag team.
I know.
Future tag team champions, whether that be on ROH, whether that be in AEW. I just think that they're that team that could eventually do it, but the problem is it's Dante or it's Darius Martin. They get hurt.
Yeah.
And I get it. It was that spot at
not for nothing, they shouldn't have done that spot, if you ask me.
I agree.
Knowing the severity and the consequences, but
it was a crazy spot. From
I mean, obviously you couldn't have predicted that Dante's ankle would break the way that it did, but even still, a spot like that is prone to that kind of thing happening. So it's just scrap that spot altogether.
I know, I agree.
It did not need to happen.
No, it didn't at all. But
because quite frankly, the accident that happened with Darius Martin could have very well been prevented. But
that is true. But ultimately, Bullet Club do get the victory with Jay White hitting the Blade Runner.
Yeah.
On Action Andretti 1, 2, 3. Bullet Club Gold get the win. But man, I tell you what, the guns there, the ultimate hype men for Bullet Club Gold, as Austin was running around yelling and trying, slapping the ring and getting everybody going in that match. But the Bullet Club Gold is going strong. Of course, Saturday they're gonna have that trios tag match with Juice Robinson against El Hijo del Vikingo, Austin Action Andretti, and Darius Martin. So it just seems like I'm ready to see El Hijo del Vikingo again, man. I tell you what, he is one hell of a guy. If you haven't seen his matches, you definitely need to, because every time he competes in that ring, it just you're gonna see something amazing.
Yeah, it would be cool to see him live, though.
It would.
But
not much to talk about with this next match. Miro beats Nick Comoroto, but Nick Comoroto was really trying before the match to get the one-up on Miro.
Yeah.
Fortunately, even after that beatdown through him, Miro turned the corner around, beat him down, gave him the super kick. Game over. It was done in a matter of like that.
Yeah.
Miro has been on one hell of a tear.
What's next for him, though? It's
be interesting to see what's next for him, but I'm grateful that they're building him back up. So we got the World Trios Tag Team title match between the House of Black and Daddy Ass and the Acclaimed. You had Brody King doing his cannonball. Or actually not the cannonball, but he's doing the crossbody.
Yeah. First of all, though, Malachi Black shaved his beard.
Yeah, that was interesting. It really was. I really thought that the Claim and Daddy Ass were the heavy favorites to win this match. I really thought maybe they could actually do it, but the House of Black is just way too good with those World Trios Tag Team titles.
Yeah.
I think I called it the Black Mass, but they called it the end. Malachi hits the end on Daddy Ass.
I still call it the Black Mass. It makes the most sense.
Hits the 1, 2, 3. Then Malachi talks to, after the match, you see Daddy Ass and the House of Black in there. Malachi is talking with Daddy Ass in the ring.
And they embraced him.
Probably congratulating him, saying, hey, congrats on your career and everything like that. As ultimately Daddy Ass, after the match, takes off, removes his kick pads, takes off his boots, and lays them in the ring.
Yeah.
The Claim's like, what the hell's going on? They want to answer, and then Daddy Ass pushes them away, starts walking up the ramp. as the fans are saying they don't want Daddy Ass to leave.
The fans started chanting, "Oh, don't leave me, Daddy." So
Ultimately, I mean, it would suck to
they
see him.
chanted, "You still got it," and like all that stuff, as well as like the "Oh, don't leave me,
You
Daddy."
definitely know that he was very disappointed that they lost. He really wanted to win the World Trios Tag Team titles with the Acclaimed, and I really thought that they were going to. I feel like they were the heavy favorites over the House of Black, but House of Black is just way too dominant of a trio, and it really makes you think who could be next. Could it be, you know, we need to know like who's next because there's not really a whole lot of trios right now that could go after those World Trios Tag Team titles.
Yeah,
Um, to be honest with you,
I mean, in a way, same thing with Ring of Honor. Like, who could challenge the Mogul Embassy for those Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles?
right?
And then in AEW, like, that's kind of where it's a little sad
Mm-hmm.
because it's like you have both of these championships for both these companies, and it's like you don't really have the trios division or the 6-man division to build around those titles. And it's kind of sad because it's like, if you, well, at least for Ring of Honor and even for AEW, technically, you have Dark Order. You have, for Ring of Honor, the Righteous and Stu Grayson. They could challenge, like,
I
and
mean,
then
I
for
guess you could have
AEW,
the
it's like,
BCC maybe go after them after dealing with the Elite. That'd be cool.
I don't know that they would want them that badly, though.
I
What
mean,
about JAS? I just thought about that. Jericho, Cool Hand Ange, and Matt Menard, Daddy Magic.
I don't think I don't think they're with the Jericho Appreciation Society because even Jericho is out there for them, and I think they turned their back on Jericho too. So
No, not Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange. It was Sammy and Daniel Garcia.
true, true. I mean, who knows? I think we need some more competitors for those World Trios Tag Team
Yeah,
titles, but ultimately, for right now, it looks like maybe Billy Gunn has called it the end of his career. But then again, what if he somehow ends up with the House of Black? That'd be something. You never know.
it would be the House of Ass.
Which we had saw one sign
There
for
was
that.
a sign,
Yes,
yes.
there was. It was interesting. Um, so yes, FTR doesn't trust the tag team of Adam Cole and MGF. Say they act like the match and the titles are a joke because of what they were doing. Had a dance off in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
They could care less about them hitting that double clothesline.
Double
Um,
closed on my asshole.
and think think everything is a joke. And then Cash Wheeler says that Cole shouldn't trust MGF. So asks him is like, you guys don't trust MGF, do you? And then like, no.
And he was like, "Oh, hey, you guys remember the Pinnacle?"
We know firsthand did not trust MJF.
I
So
mean, they're not wrong. They
honestly,
do.
I think it's the other way around. I don't think MJF can trust Cole because I think Cole is going to turn on MJF and turn heel. But then again, we could be swerved and somehow MJF turns on Adam Cole, goes back to being the bad guy because he is the devil for a reason.
Right.
And I think Roderick Strong, you know, could save Cole from the beatdown by MJF. So honestly, who knows? Um, so I was saying that Taya Valkyrie in this match against Sky Blue, probably needed to win um, more than Sky Blue. But yes, Taya Valkyrie does get the win on Sky Blue. Um, and then throws out the challenge to none other than Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, later tonight. Thoughts on that one?
Yeah, that one was a little interesting to me because, like, even people on Twitter were talking about it because it's like, oh, since when is Taya Valkyrie like working as a heel? And it's like, I don't know necessarily that she was working it. The way I looked at it, I thought it was one of those things of like, oh, could Taya Valkyrie be joining the Outcast because she was talking about like, oh, keep throwing your homegrown talents at me. It's like that's the Outcast's whole shtick. So I was looking at it, I'm like, is she teasing like trying to join the Outcasts and Ruby, Soraya, and Tony?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, but ultimately, who knows? I think that she can beat Dr. Britt Baker. I mean, I think you gotta find some way
If
to build
not,
it back
then
up.
you ruined Taya Valkyrie more than you already have.
Yeah, you have.
Because, like,
And it's sad because you think that that Sky Blue is supposed to be this big up and comer.
yeah,
Unfortunately, she just has a very
yeah.
crappy record in 2023.
Well, not to
I think it's like
mention,
what 12-10 now.
is it?
I think so too. It was like 12-9 before that loss to Taya, so now it's like 12-10.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because like they were saying, and when I say they, I mean like people on the internet and everything were saying like, oh, Sky Blue is uh the future of the AEW women's division. They're gonna give her like this huge push, and it's like, well, especially when the Owen Hart tournament was like first announced, and she was one of the competitors. Everybody was like, "Oh, they're surely gonna have like this women's tournament is centered around her. She's definitely gonna win it, right?" And it's like, well, it ended up being Willow. So at this point, it's like, okay, well, like
Right.
there's still some time to like build up Sky Blue, and it's like now you're looking at it as like, well, yeah, sure, there's still enough time to build up Sky Blue, but at the same time, excuse me, it's like, what are you truly doing with her?
True.
You know what I mean? So
So we're gonna get on to the main event of the night, as this was announced during that little segment with CM Punk and then Darby
yes,
Allin
it
coming
led
out.
to the main
It
event,
was gonna be
which
Darby Allin
was
teaming up with
whoever the
friend CM Punk against Ricky Starks and Christian Cage or
yeah
Luchasaurus, but it ended up being Christian Cage. Um, but ultimately, with everything, Darby and CM Punk were really trying to get the victory here against Ricky Starks and Christian Cage, but no, Ricky Starks hits um Rochambeau, gets um gets the pin and holds on to the
yeah
rope again to get the victory for his tag team. He just can't win without cheating right now. And it's looking bad for Ricky Starks if he's
Well,
supposedly
hey,
turning heel.
I was gonna say, if he's supposed to be a babyface, he's very heavily leaning towards a heel because, or at least he's doing heel tactics. Because if you think about it, really only a heel like cheats to win and like grabs the rope and unless you're Eddie Guerrero, in which case that was like more of just a rare thing. But yeah, like it's safe to say that people are starting to like catch on to like, but that's another thing too. I feel like it's the kind of thing of like people don't want to boo Ricky Starks, but at the same time, it's like they can't help it because like he's just so damn good at being a heel that like
Mm.
people have no choice but to be like, oh, boo
And
this
also in
man.
this match, Scorpio Sky was in the press
Yes,
box and he was looking down on the TNT champion Luchasaurus. He definitely wants that TNT
yeah,
championship back. I wouldn't be opposed to him getting it back and this time having a decent run. But if he's hardly wrestling on Collision, it just I don't know how I feel about him winning that TNT championship. He was have to compete a little
yeah.
bit more on Collision Because to my knowledge, I think he's only had one match
He's
in the
only had like
six
one or two
weeks
matches.
that they've
Yeah,
had for Collision. So,
I was gonna say it's been a month of Collision at this point, and first of all, we still haven't seen Thunder Rosa. Um, Scorpio Sky is hardly being used on the show. We get more Miro than what. It's kind of sad how Miro is being utilized more on Collision than Scorpio Sky. But either way, um, yeah,
but ultimately, yeah, that's going to conclude this episode of No Final Bell. Thank you for 90 episodes of this show. Couldn't do it without you, the fans. Um, Please make sure to follow us down below at social media on Tinkle Sports. Of course, you can watch this and also know Out of Turn 4 on YouTube and Facebook Watch. And then also with Out of Turn, our Tinkle Sunday Morning Tinkle, you can hear us on um, social platforms as well as YouTube and sometimes Facebook Watch, depending on what we have. But um, as always, thank you for watching. Goodbye, everyone.